Happy Friday, everybody, on this March 20th. Welcome to episode 4 of Service and Sacrifice. I'm Ryan Peterson. Thanks for joining us here on WTEN+. Joining us, as always, Dom Dominguez, ML Baker, our trifecta. Once again, gentlemen, hello. How's your week been so far?
Good. Here we are.
Yeah, delighted to be here again.
I didn't believe that. That didn't sound believable, but we love having you here. Thank you, nonetheless.
He's hoping for more warmer weather.
Real quick, as we like to do at the top of every show, we kind of hit some hot topics, as we like to call them, as I lovingly steal the title of that from our folks at The View. Dom, you had mentioned an increase in female veterans coming into the VA. Things are available to them. I guess one of the questions is, why are we seeing that increase?
Well, as we all know, we just ended 2 very long wars, right? Operation Enduring Freedom and Iraqi Freedom. And, our female veterans were involved, heavily involved. I know when I was in Afghanistan, I was in an infantry unit, and we had, female engagement teams, we call them FET teams, and they're integrated with us and helping out with the Afghan population. But the number of women serving in our military is increasing significantly. We're seeing it right here at the Albany Stratton VA. I think overall, I think the nation, we have approximately 2.1 million female veterans here in the Albany VA Medical Center. We have just over 3,700 female veterans. And I believe we're expected to grow within the next 5 years over that 4,200 mark. But because of the increase that we have with our female veterans, our resources grow. So we have a department at the VA Medical Center named Women Veterans Health Center. That is an awesome health center. It offers a ton for our female veterans, everything from gynecology to breast and cervical screenings and fertility screenings, military and environmental exposure programs, maternity care coordination and lactation consultations, everything from social work to behavioral, peer support counseling, physical therapy, including the pelvic floor PT, and my favorite is the maternity care ward. They have the maternity care program there, and they contact their female veterans twice a month, those who are pregnant, and it's just a great overall program that we have at the VA.
And what's being done? Are there any initiatives underway to boost that even more, create an even greater outreach around the region?
Oh, absolutely. There's tons of outreach that we do for our female health center. The good thing is they are accepting new enrollments. So the more outreach we do, the more female veterans enroll, the better we can grow. And that's the big thing. The one thing I will push out is our female health center is not just a Model 1 or Model 2, it's a Model 3 service center. So what's the difference? Model 1 is more integrated. You see a lot of departments within the VA Medical Center that are just integrated. Model 2 is like shared space. Usually like our infusion clinics have that shared space. With our Model 3 female clinic, it is a dedicated, safe space for our female veterans. They don't have any separate clinics. They have their own clinic area, so it's really great.
One of the things I want to mention real quick, and I want to remind people, we are going to get into this much more in depth over the coming weeks. Mental health services, specifically when it comes to veteran suicide here in the state of New York. Now, New York Health Foundation is out with its report for the latest numbers, which is 2023. That's the latest, most significant data that we have. And it's showing that suicide rates, unfortunately, among New York's veterans has increased to the highest level in some 20 years. It's incredible. It's unfortunate. It's sad. Emil, what in your experience, friends of yours, perhaps those of your generation, what do you think is driving this?
I think one of the major things is isolation and maybe the death of a spouse. Maybe their families died off. Some of us are close to 80 years old. And you think about that, your family's shrinking all the time, you're alone, your pets may pass on, and then it's just you against the world. And those are fairly depressing things once people think about it. So it's all important that they engage with the VA. It's all important that they know. And the PACT Act was so great to get them encouraged to go in. And once they go in and see other vets their own age, I think it opens up and the discussion can become normal, where they're talking about it. And I think that helped the female veterans to join the PACT Act, made them eligible for something that they may not have even thought about before.
And it's worth pointing out, too, the numbers show that age range 18 to 34, the suicide rate nearly doubled over the past 5 years up to 2023. And Dom, we've talked about that a lot, where the younger kids coming in off the most recent wars, dealing with all sorts of trauma.
Yeah, it's hard to adapt. You know, you're in this environment for 15 months, sometimes more than 15 months, multiple deployments, and then you're back and they send you right back, and you're in the real world, and things aren't the same. You know, when you're deployed, every day is a Monday out there. You're always working. Your mind adjusts to that. So then when you're coming back home, everything just slows down, and then it's really hard to adapt. I know a big thing for me to adapt is, I mean, I had so much responsibility when I was in Afghanistan as a 21-year-old. There was so much coming at me, and I took it. And then when you come home, how do you put that on your resume? How do you integrate in the job? I mean, it's tough. And then your friends are all gone. All the guys and gals that you looked, to the left and right to support you during these really hard times, they're not there anymore. So it's really hard, but I'm glad we're bringing that up next week. We'll have definitely some
we over the next couple of weeks we'll be getting much more into depth on that. We'll be bringing in some guests, some experts locally that are going to be able to really address this issue and talk more about it. But speaking of special guests, coming up next in our next segment, Nicole Melius is going to join us. We're going to be talking about the latest and greatest in technology to treat cancer that is coming right here to the Stratton VA. It's pretty incredible, and she's going to talk all about it coming up right after this. Welcome back, everybody, to the Service and Sacrifice this Friday, March 20th. And please welcome our special guest today, Nicole Melius. Am I saying that correctly, Nicole?
Yes, you are.
Beautiful. She's a chief radiation therapist at the Stratton VA here in Albany. And we're going to be talking all about, now we had mentioned it real briefly at the top of the show, but this latest piece of equipment that is now offered for those who are going through cancer treatments. And I believe we have a photo here of it being assembled here, right? And what is this called, Nicole?
This is called the Edge Linear Accelerator.
What is so special about this machine?
So the Edge Linear Accelerator we're bringing in to complement our already in place linear accelerator called the TrueBeam. This offers a very precise and high-tech way to treat cancer lesions. It has an advanced imaging system on it. We can take CTs right on the machine. We overlay those with our planning CTs and make sure that the tumors are exactly where they need to be. It also has a very small, what they call multi-leaf collimator in the head of the machine. This has tiny little leaves in it that conform to the exact size of extremely small lesions in the body, and that reduces the side effects to normal tissue being treated. So you treat less normal tissue and can give a higher dose to the actual tumor.
Because you're able to actually pinpoint it better,
yes.
Correct? What kind of, when we're talking about our veterans, Nicole, and do you see different types of cancer?
Oh, yeah.
Or different rates of cancer than you would in people that did not serve?
We do see a lot of different types of cancer. We treat a lot of lung cancer, a lot of head and neck cancer, a lot of prostate cancer. Those are our three main cancers, but we can treat any type of cancer that is eligible for radiation on these machines. So we can do breast cancer, skin cancer, pancreas, esophagus, all different types of cancer can be treated on this machine.
Emil, what do you think of this? I mean, you've been around for a little while. This technology is fantastic. What are your thoughts?
I think it encourages people to take advantage of it because it seems to be something that's all-inclusive. The treatments seem very simplistic. It's not as complex in thought even for me to comprehend what it does. I think people have to feel comfortable with the treatment, and this sounds like a great treatment and a way to handle this for people. So I think it's wonderful.
Dom, how does the VA come into a piece of equipment like this that certainly I would imagine is not cheap?
Well, we have to remember that the Albany Stratton VA Medical Center is a 1C medical center, so we are a cancer center of excellence. So these types of machines are something we need and have to have. And the one big thing I would recommend for any veteran out there listening to this is you can go out into your communities and you're going to be waiting on a long line because everyone in that community is trying to get to these high-end pieces of equipment where we have one right here in our backyard dedicated for veterans with therapists who see veterans every day and know exactly how to pinpoint these issues. But take advantage of this awesome new machine. And I believe what it does too is it eliminates a lot of the sessions. So imagine the time that you can have with your family now. That's important, specifically when you're going through these types of treatments.
Yeah, Nicole, can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so we do a lot of what we call hypofractionation on this type of machine just because it does have that precision and the accuracy with the imaging capabilities. So we can take eligible patients and take their sessions from 30 to 40 down to 5 to 15. And
Wow,
for certain brain lesions, we can actually treat them in one fraction so they can come one time. So because of these machines, we are able to take patients in outside of our normal Albany catchment area, and we kind of take all the responsibility for the logistics of bringing someone there, like lodging, transportation, things like that, so that way they can get back to their normal daily lives. Instead of going and getting 30 or 40 treatments, they could travel to the Albany VA, stay there during their treatment, get 5 treatments, and go back home, back to their normal life, back to work, whatever it is that they need to be doing at home. Yeah.
Now but just looking at it, the video and the pictures that we've had here, very open machine.
Yep.
I know. What were the old tunnel machines? That was a CT machine.
Yeah, CT, MRI, things like that. It is very open. It's bright. We have lights in there, intercoms, videos. We're watching the patients all the time. They can talk to us. We can talk to them. We also have an infrared monitoring system on the machine that monitors the patient's surface. So if they move, the machine will turn off. Because of that, we're also able to use open face masks for head and neck lesions and brain lesions. You could see that in the video that the patient's eyes were not covered in the old systems. Their whole face was covered with that mask. So that's a really nice feature for patients, especially veterans that have claustrophobia or anything like that can use that open face mask with the infrared system, and it adds that extra level of safety.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, the picture I showed earlier of it being put together, is the work complete yet? Is this machine up and running yet? Or?
It's not yet. They're still doing the final installation, and then it has to go through a series of safety testings by physicists. So that is not yet done. We are working on that. So, we should be set in the next couple months to be able to use this machine on patients.
We're going to tell everybody to hang tight for a second. We're going to be right back with more with Nicole and Dom and Emil right after a quick break. You're watching Service and Sacrifice here on WTEN+. Welcome back to Service and Sacrifice this week. We've got Dom and Emil here with us as always, joined today by Nicole Melius, Chief Radiation Therapist at the Stratton VA Center. We're talking about this new Edge Linear Accelerator machine that's really making big strides for cancer treatment for our veterans here at the Stratton VA. Nicole, we were talking earlier about the dosage, right? We're talking about radiation here, and in the past, maybe it was a little stronger. This machine can do the same thing with and correct me if I'm wrong here, but a not as strong a dose of radiation?
So you don't want to say not as strong.
Right.
So radiation is a buildup effect in the body, and it's planned by a very complex planning system that drives the dose to certain areas of the tumor to give that cell death of that tumor. So I don't want to say not a stronger dose. We can give less fractions. Sometimes we are giving a higher dose in the individual fractions, if that makes sense, but the outcomes are the same. So sometimes you can give a higher dose of radiation in less fractions, and it has the same biological effect as giving a lower dose over the course of many treatments.
You were mentioning earlier, too, we're still probably a few weeks or so out from this being operable, being available to people. What kind of training do you and those who work with you have to go through for a machine like this?
So most of us have a bachelor's degree. You can get a 2-year certificate. That degree is kind of phased out, but most of us have a bachelor's degree in radiation therapy. You go through a series of clinicals where you go out and you actually practice in real hospitals through your course of treatment, and then you have to sit for a licensing and board exam. And then typically you have to reboard every so many years to show that you are still competent in the field.
And this is a machine, as we see from the video here, I believe this is made by a company called Varian, which I believe is part of a Siemens Health company. Does a rep from the company come in when you're first getting this up and running and kind of walk you through some things?
Yes, absolutely. So on our go live week or week and a half, we have many different people coming from Varian to help us, give us training, things of that nature, make sure everything goes smooth and that there's no, technology hiccups or anything like that. So there's many different systems that work together on the Edge. So we'll have Edge trainers, we'll have Identify trainers, which is that infrared monitoring system I was talking about. So they're right there, all on site. We also have a contract with them. So if anything were to ever come up and we had difficulty, we call them at any time and they can assist us over the phone or come in and, help solve the problem.
Will this be used for any type of cancer, or will it be like on a patient-by-patient kind of basis where you think this particular method is the best way to go?
So the machine can treat any type of cancer that should get radiation. So that's all up to the doctors. We have a very comprehensive team right at the Albany VA. We have medical oncologists, we have radiation oncologists, we have dietitians, social work. So that's all done, right there. We have 2 CT scans, 1 T1 MRI, a PET CT scanner, all right on site at the Albany VA. So it is kind of nice for the patients to be able to get their diagnosis done there. All the specialists are there, type thing. So it would be the doctor's decision. We have a tumor board that all the doctors go to every Tuesday and talk about different cases and decide, should this patient get radiation? Should they get chemo and radiation? Should they just get chemo? So there is a lot of time spent diagnosing those patients and deciding what is the best treatment for them. But if they need radiation, this machine or our TrueBeam machine, can treat that.
Right. Emma, we often talk about our veterans out there who aren't enrolled in VA healthcare. Something like this, I would think, would shove them right on in there, right? To look at what is available to them if they get enrolled. This is phenomenal.
This is one of the advantages that no one's got an idea of, and I think the enrollment of these folks in there's multiple things that are great about this. And I'm going to mention something because MRIs, I got claustrophobic in it, and I had to go to a sitting MRI, make an appointment, and I can tell you right now, they told me numerous times that people who were in combat are affected by enclosures and things like that. So this is a positive thing. They need to hear it and understand it because this will eliminate a lot of the worry and concerns that they have about being in an enclosed area. So I strongly encourage every single veteran and their family members to look into this healthcare. Everything at the VA is top-notch. It's late and new innovative treatments, and it just needs to be explained to people. And I think I'm a veteran, guys and gals, and I love the way I'm treated at the VA.
And Dom, what are you hearing from folks when they come in for the first time?
They love it. They love it. Everything. We're changing the VA around too. We're getting all our primary care clinics down on the first floor. We're making it make sense to all our veterans. But a big thing I want to really touch on this new Edge Linear Accelerator is this isn't just available to any veteran within our community or the Capital District region. This is available to any veteran out there, whether you're within the state or out of the state. And like Nicole said, we do offer housing at the VA Medical Center. We have the Fisher House, which is Albany has the first Fisher House in the nation. We have one of 2 in the state. So we have lodging. We have this brand new machine. It is offered to any veteran, no matter where in the state that you're from, and it's good. I mean, there's some technical stuff you said there, Nicole. I mean, one of the big things that I wonder is With this new machine, I mean, with the tumors, does this zap smaller tumors? I mean, what does that mean for the general public that aren't used to these technical terms that we're using?
So we are able to treat very, very small tumors without treating as much normal tissue. So with being able to treat less normal tissue, the patients get less side effects. Mm-hmm. So before, if you were treating like, a 5-centimeter tumor and you were giving, the surrounding tissues a little more dose, now we're able to kind of shrink that area down, because of the precision and the technology on the machine, and give the normal tissue surrounding the tumor
avoid
less
damaging
dose.
that healthier tissue, right?
Yeah.
How awesome is this new machine?
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Nicole, thank you so much for joining us this week.
Thanks for having
really
me.
appreciate it. So you heard it, folks. Take advantage. If you're a veteran and you're not enrolled in VA healthcare, we say all the time, why not? Stay with us. We're going to be back one final time here on Service and Sacrifice on WTEN Plus. Welcome back to Service and Sacrifice. How awesome is Nicole?
She's great.
That was fantastic. When you brought that up and said you wanted to bring her in, it was super psyched. And that machine is just incredible.
I mean, how many veterans are going to get saved by this machine? It's
right?
amazing.
Hopefully it brings a lot of people in. All right, we're at that point in the show where we want to address your questions. As always, I encourage you to email me at rpeterson@news10.com. Any questions you may have. These two guys are with us each and every week, and we will get you answers. I want to get to a question here. This is from Robert Ferris. He emailed me and said he served in the National Guard from 1969 to 1975. He says, I believe I'm eligible for veterans' rights. I'm in need of someone helping me with getting the DD 214 completed from start to finish. Wants to know how he could get some help with that. What do we have to say for Robert?
Wow, that's a coveted form. The question is trying to figure out what completed means, right? If you're just trying to access that form, there's 3 ways you can access it. You can go right to NARA. You could do that online. That's the National Archives of Records Administration. So you can go to NARA, or you can come to the VA Medical Center in Albany, New York. On the 9th floor, there's a records department. It's called ROI, Records of Information. You can try to obtain it that way, or you can come right down to the business office and we can help you out. So those are the 3 ways of obtaining the form. Now, when it comes to editing the form, if that's something you want to do, and you're with the National Guard, you may want to go to the Division Military Naval Affairs and check out their records department and see how you can amend, edit your DD-214 when it comes to the National Guard. When it comes to the active duty, I would definitely check with the National Resource Site that I just spoke about, NARA, and call their 1-800 number on there to try to get that edited.
So this is a form that it gets you your records of service, correct?
Yeah.
The exact time you entered and left.
Yep, it'll tell you your pay entry date, your ending date when you left, the type of honorable discharge, whether it's honorable, dishonorable, whatever your honorable discharge type is. There's a lot to this form. Your awards, there's a ton, but that form is the golden ticket when you're leaving the military. So it is a very important form.
And the especially important thing is that the deployments are noted on there, because you need to have been deployed to federal duty in order to be eligible for the VA benefits.
Indeed, sir.
So somebody that served in the National Guard and he gets those records back, he's certainly entitled to all of that.
Oh, yeah. Anyone is entitled to any of that, whether you're National Guard, reserves, or active duty.
Emil, you and I were talking before we started recording here today about a couple of things. And I want to briefly touch on that now since we have a few more minutes here before we have to say goodbye. New York State recently announced that someone, a veteran who is 100% disabled, may be no longer eligible to pay their property tax. But there's some fine print to that. And I know the governor just signed off on it, and it sounded very beautiful and wonderful, but it may not be as simple as some people think, and that is actually a question I had a woman reach out to me to. And I'm hoping to get our friend, State Senator Jake Ashby, in here shortly to join us to talk more about that, because he was a co-sponsor on that bill.
That was worded when the governor announced it, so it sounded like all would take effect. I'm 100% disabled, and I get a 50% discount on my home taxes starting this year. So again, you have to have additional criteria that you've met in order to get that. But what had happened prior to that is towns and cities within New York State could opt out of the whole program. She prevented that from happening, so they have to take part in the program now, but you're not going to get 100% off on your taxes if you don't meet some other criteria that are on there. And I didn't meet that criteria.
Right.
So I'm at 50%. And that in itself is a great benefit for me. I think one of the things is that it's very confusing. It was announced as a benefit through the VA and through the government, but it was never explained properly. And it was left to the discretion of every town and every city to play in the game. And for the expense of it, a lot just opted out. So it needs clarification, and everybody should be encouraged to get some help to look at this.
And hopefully we're going to be able to clear that up for a lot of people. Again, over the next couple of weeks, that is something we want to tackle here on Service and Sacrifice as well. Gentlemen, as always, thank you. Nice to see you this week. Remember, if you're watching us, great. We are on WTEN Plus. That is an app available only on your television. If you use Roku, Apple TV, or Amazon Fire, go into the App Store on either one of those platforms. Download WTN Plus for free. You get all of our regular newscasts plus this original content like Service and Sacrifice. That's going to do it for this week. As always, send me your questions if you got one. rpeterson@news10.com, and we'll get you answers here week in and week out. Thank you for watching Service and Sacrifice. Have a great weekend.